Hey, look who showed up. The prodigal son has returned. I do believe my pants are on fire. Looks like my chair's on fire. Hey, welcome to Rat Rodding. My name's Waylon Wire, and don't ever do what we do here on this channel. Coming your way.
Bring her home.
I don't know if I'm still straight or not, because I got these casters that are turning around on me.
There you go. Now you're straight.
Well,
that's right. Just working it. We'll get there.
I learned a little trick.
Well, I see you beating on it with a hammer.
Yeah, you gotta do that. Where's the hammer at?
I seen it.
Get some casters like that. Am I straight?
Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Easy.
Want some pressure on it? Or? Oh!
It's there.
It's all the way?
It's all the way.
You're kidding me.
No.
All right, man.
It's there.
That's a good deal. Well,
how about that?
put some bolts in. Well, not everything we do around here is successful the first time, you know. What was that, Waylon? Let's hear that one more time. Well, not everything we do around here is successful the first time, you know. Buddy Warren was up here and we decided to stab this transmission. I've got an alignment tool. I think I paid, well, a lot for it as alignment tools go. 80 bucks, I think. But it was necessary. 60 or 80 bucks. It was a lot. It's too much. But I kind of had to have it because this thing's got dual clutches in it. So you got to have everything aligned. You can't do it with a broomstick. Take a big one. Shaft's pretty good size, but anyway, it bolted up kind of hard, but it went, you know. And I went to turn it over. I hadn't run it since I put this transmission on here. And I went to crank it over. It would not crank. Boy, it was tight. Pulled the starter off, made sure that was good. Had it spinning there on the ground. All that, but put a pry bar in there on the flywheel and it would budge a little, but boy, it was stiff, you know, it was tight. So, well, I've got to get into it. So, Kerwood was up here today, and I thought, well, no finer time, you know. I mean, I couldn't be any happier than when I'm wrenching on this old iron with a buddy, you know. And we just had a good time. Pulled this transmission off, and I don't know, we were talking, carrying on, and I didn't even think to turn the camera on, and that's pretty odd for me. But pulled this tranny, and when I bought that flywheel, 2 clutches, intermediate plate, and pressure plate, and then another clutch, and a brand new pressure plate. When I unboxed that, it was all put together in a box, and I was very careful to note exactly how it was so I could put it together that way, the way it was supposed to be when I put it in this bell house. Well, we pulled the thing out. Old Kerwood spotted something. We started measuring that input shaft on this tranny and whatnot. Kerwood kind of spotted something and he said, well, look at this. See where it's rubbing on there. So the collar that's on the front of this transmission over the input shaft is pretty long. and it was hitting on the center of the inside of the clutch. One of the clutches was in backwards. So in my infinite wisdom, you know, I thought that they had boxed it in the order that they supposed to go. And so I was very careful to put it in exactly that way. And it actually looked right, the way the clutch was flat on one side and kind of sticks out on the other. It looked like it was in the right way. But in this particular case, where there's two clutches, one of them's turned the other way, opposite of kind of what you'd think it would be. So we flipped the clutch around and put the alignment tool in there, and well, this thing, you saw it, this thing practically fell on me. Oh,
It's there.
it's all the way?
It's all the
You're
way.
kidding me. Just went right in there, and I just hooked it up to the battery box over there and the jump box and hit the button, and it rolls over just like it's supposed to. So, you know, sometimes second, third, fourth time's charm. You never know. But it's all fun. It's all fun and games. Till somebody loses an eye, and then it's just fun. Not games anymore. Okay, let me get y'all up to speed here. You can see my high-class, high-quality fuel system. A little gallon can sitting back there on the transmission. Here's what's going on. I have not run that thing since I put the transmission on it. I don't know, Warren, when did we stab that tranny the first time? But I have never run it since I've owned it and brought it home. I have never run it with water in it. So it's full right now. When I was putting water in it, that last video at the end, I was just starting to put water in it. And it kept taking water and kept taking water, and then took some more water and some more water on top of that. And I kind of got scared. I ran around to look at the, see if it was putting water in the oil pan. But it wasn't. So I have not run it with water in it since I've owned it, however long that's been. I fired it up a few times, but never brought it up to temp. And that is my endeavor this evening. And we're all alone here in the shop tonight, guys. Just me and you. Old Click and Clack are usually here, but my computer's down, so it's just us. Anyway, I'd like to run it a little while and bring it up to temp and see what it does. You know, I'm hoping that reservoir will do the trick. It did the trick for many, many years, sitting out and running an irrigation pump, and I'm not even going to have a load on it. So we'll see what the temp does. And I don't know if this thing is cracked, head's cracked, block cracked. I have no idea. It may fill the oil up with water, you know, or it may make a milkshake in the reservoir. Just don't know. You're going to find out at the same time I do, I reckon. But I've had the fuel pump running a little bit, and give the carbs a couple of squirts. So I'll move you in here so you get the full effect. You know, I'll get you in here so you can smell the fumes. That's another thing. I got the fan over there running, try to blow some fumes out of the shop here. But let's see what she does. Well, it's got 60 pounds of oil pressure, but my oil gauge is leaking, and for some reason it's loading up real bad. It's just getting real rich. It started out pretty smooth there at low RPMs and just a little bit of rev, but now it's loaded up real bad. So anyway, I'm going to fix that leak on that oil pressure gauge. No, it's still leaking, and I don't like the way it's running. Well, we finally got it. This old Subaru 83 GL, yeah, what is it, an EA 81 engine? Man, this thing just fought us tooth and nail all the way. Had 4 guys up here looking at it, and pretty much all of them walking away, shaking their head and, you know, kind of disgusted. And I'd fiddle with it, and then I'd just have to get away from it for a few days and come back to it and get away from it. And we tested coils. We tested 1, 2, 3, 4 coils, and they tested good, and we changed them anyway, you know. I don't know, you just do everything, you start grasping at straws, you know. And tested the distributor, 3 of them. Well, can you believe 3 bad distributors in a row? Brand new reman from Napa, $200. Doesn't really surprise me. You know, the aftermarket stuff we get, you know, the reman stuff we get nowadays is just garbage. So, a guy come up here, and a young man that went to school with my son, or 2 older, I guess, but anyway, he tested the distributor, and when you would spin it, it would cycle with the ohm meter, or it would pulse, you know, with the ohm meter, it would drop the ohms. But he said, well, it's dropping, yeah, it's pulsing and it's dropping, but maybe it's not dropping enough. And he said, I think that module's bad. So I started looking for a module for my brand new $200 distributor from Napa. Well, brand new reman. That tells you the story right there. But anyway, $75 on eBay, and good old Rock Auto, man, $11.22. $11.22 later, this thing runs. So we finally got it, you know. Then we figured out that the thing turns counterclockwise, and of course we'd had wires off, and I put a new distributor cap and rotor in it, you know, just for giggles, but because they were so cheap from Rock Auto. You know, they ought to give me a discount for plugging them, huh? Anyway, I'm just happy it runs, man. So I'm kind of putting it back together now. You know, I'm going to change the water pump on this thing. It's been leaking for a while, but I wasn't going to fix it if it was a dead horse. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I think we're back on the road. Somebody, YouTube, a couple people commented and said, well, it's time to get a new one. No, I can't get a new one. This is an American institution, man, this hoopy. It's known worldwide. And my kids learned to drive in it, and my grandkids are learning to drive in it. And if I'm around long enough, my great-grandkids will learn to drive in it. So, yeah, no, we're going to keep this one. We'll keep this one on the road. It's the hoopy, man. Finally got this thing jacked up so I can get to that water pump without bending over and touching my toes, standing there all strange like that. When you get old, you start figuring this stuff out, see? Boy, this thing is not going to know what to think. He's getting a new Radner hose, new water pump, an oil swap, and a new filter. Why, it's going to wake up tomorrow morning and say, I feel good. Well, I'm going to catch some grief for what I'm about to do, because I've had it happen before. Had a bunch of YouTube mechanics jump all over me and tell me, you're gonna damage the surface and it won't be level and you'll take off too much material and it won't seal up anymore, and all kinds of horrible things. Your planets won't line up, and your dog will die, and your cattle start spitting up fur balls, and things are just going to be terrible. But I don't worry about that stuff. You know, all my life I've been doing things you ain't supposed to do. I'm 68 years old, so why change now? Hammer down, boy, let her rip. I just use a light touch. I just buff it gingerly, you know. I don't think that's gonna hurt anything, do you?
Is the little Subaru really cheap and ugly? What else can you say about a car that costs $12.97 port of entry?
The little Subaru. Wow.
most commercials, the cars start up here with some help from a helicopter. But these babies from Subaru don't need help. They can switch from front to four-wheel drive, and for tougher going, they keep going with a dual-range gearbox. Any cars would look good up here, but all Subaru four-wheel drive cars even look good getting up here.
I can't remember what I ran into. I hit something in front of this. All I know is it needs some body work. That'll buff out. Back. Hallelujah. Man, I have missed this ride. You know, this happened about, July the 19th was when I put up the video. They said the hoopy has no pulse. Oh, and how I have missed that little hoopy car. When I was a little kid, my dad had an old stripped down car he took the top off of and the cab off of, and it just, I don't think it even had the windshield frame or doors gone, the back half gone. Put a flatbed on it, and he hauled hog feed around the farm with that, and fence posts and fixed fence and whatever. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. So when my kids were little, I wanted them to have that same experience, and they learned how to drive in this thing, and I think I mentioned that. And now my grandkids are learning in it. But every day I'd need it, you know, I'd go out to use it and it ain't there. It's broke down. So I'm so grateful that it's back on the road because I use it. I've got all my irrigation parts in there. I've got 40 acres here and I get irrigation running everywhere. So PVC brakes, and I got all my parts in there. I got them all organized. They're by size, and you know, and everything is just handy. That thing is handy as a three-legged dog. So I really missed it, and I'm just filled with gratitude. I'm just welling up with it. I mean, it's awesome, man. The hoopy's running again. And me and my daughter, we like to take it down by the old pond down there when they come to visit, and we just sit there under the willow trees and have us a nice conversation, you know, and it's just spending time together. But the memory revolves around that hoopty. She'll call me up sometime and say, "Dad, I just need some hoopy therapy." You know, my dad called it a hoopy. I know the proper pronunciation is hoopty, but he called it a hoopy, and that's what we call it. It's a poor man's ATV, but boy, it's a good one. I'll tell you a quick story. My buddy Robo Frank over there in Snohomish, you know, he's the one that wound up with the green bean. He had a bunch of Nashes, and he said it was his mission to own them all. I sold it to him with the option of always being able to buy it back if I wanted it back. And he said, "Yep." And I let him have it for $800. And it's still sitting over there. And he told me one day, he says, the worst thing we ever could have done with that car was to bring it over here in this weather. You know, people say, "Well, it rains all the time in Washington." I used to get that when I go to California. "Where are you from?" "Washington." "Oh, it rains all the time up there." No, it don't. It rains on the west side of the mountains. That's kind of blocked from us. We don't get that weather. We're in what they call a high desert. it's very arid here, and that's why things don't rust away. That's why we got so much old iron sitting around here. Anyway, some guy came to see him, was there looking at some stuff, and he saw the old green bean, and he said something about whaling wire. And Robert Frank says, yeah. Well, then the folks that I sold that Rambler, that 1959 Rambler, that pink one, were taking it for a little drive the other day, and they pulled out of the back driveway there, I guess, and got out on the street, and there was a guy on a motorcycle at the corner, and he stopped and waited for him to come around the corner and drive by. And when they come by, he called out to him and said, "Whale wire!" And they go, yeah. So I thought that was kind of funny. Anyway, that's my little story about the little pink Rambler, and let's go look at a couple pictures of it, because they did it up right. It's really nice. Man, I'm so excited about this thing running. Being back on the road, I just can't hardly stand myself. Let's go for a little ride. Come on, guys. I mean, what else you got to do? If you got time to sit and watch this video, you ain't got too much important going on. Oh, listen to that. Oh, we are back. We are back, brother. We got our... it's going to be wind noise, so I'll shut up. Y'all can't tell I'm happy about this, can you? Well, now I need to get in there and clean up that shop, because I got another project coming in right after this. Hi, Joshy. Are you hungry? Are you out of groceries? Yeah? Well, let me hook you up, buddy. I just went to town today just for you. Check this out. This is all for you. You want to eat it all tonight? I'm going to save some for tomorrow. Huh? What do you think? What do you want? What do you want to do? There. I don't have to fool with you again for a month. Okay, friends, Romans, and countrymen, lend me your ear. We're about to discuss something that's quite severe. This engine is unique in several ways. By the way, there are a few people out there who still think that this is two engines put together. It is not. It is one solid block. Y'all see that? There's a freeze plug right where they would have been connected, actually. But yeah, unique in that way, but also the way the PCV valves work on this thing. Now, the gentleman in California with that really super nice rat rod, well, he calls it rat rod. It's got digital gauges, and I think he's a machinist. I'm not sure about that, but he built the frame. It's a high-end frame, you know, a beautiful job. Just fantastic. And he's a generous man. He sent me this, and he's emailed me back and tried to answer my questions. And, you know, he's one of the guys that said, yeah, you need to take those PCV valves out of there. You need to take them out, or that ball can drop down inside. Well, I sealed them up. He said, you need to plug the holes off when you're done. But my question was, if I plug the holes, how's the crankcase going to breathe? How's it going to not build up pressure? How's it going to breathe? He said, well, it'll breathe through the valve covers. He said, you put little breathers in there. And, well, I have those, you know, I could do that. I have one. I could get some. But I couldn't get my mind around it. I go, well, if you plug it off, and then it can breathe through the valve covers, then what kept it from breathing through the valve covers before? Okay, well, they were sealed. It was a sealed unit before. I'm just learning this, just getting my mind around all this. But I could tell I wasn't asking the right question, you know, and it was like you're asked about a question and the answer you get is just has nothing to do with your question. And you know, I'm starting to kind of understand now that I understand the system. I know what he was talking about. But one of the things he said, if you leave it open and you backfire, you can blow the oil pan off of it. Ask me how I know. Okay, fast forward. I mean, I felt like he's a very friendly guy. I said, yeah, right, or call anytime. But I felt like he's a busy man, and I didn't want to just keep harping on the same question if I wasn't asking it right. You know, I didn't want to bother the guy. So he's a good man. I didn't want to irritate him. And I know I can irritate people. No question about that. So there's a guy over here in Idaho, my neighbor over here. His name is Marty. And he sent me some information last night, emails that had all kinds of information in it. And then I asked him if I could call him, and he said, yeah, and I called him today. And what a gentleman, you know. He explained all this in terms that I could understand. And plus I had gotten my manual out, and I'll show you that. And learned a little bit more. But you guys have heard me say, well, I wonder what this is. You know, I know there's a filter in there, but how does it work? Well, it's got holes in the bottom. That's how it works. And this is that PCV system. This is part of it. And so Marty, bless his pea-picking heart, man, he sent me, oh, that's my battery box over there, jump box. He sent me information last night, where to get the PCV valves. There's some new old stock on eBay that, of course, is not in big demand. And he said he's never heard of one dropping a ball down the engine. So I think I'm just going to replace them with new ones and make the system work the way it's supposed to. Mr. Heavy Chevy says you got to do this. You got to, you know, talk with your hands when you're doing this. So this right here, he even sent me the Napa part number for that filter that goes in there. What a guy, you know. And then when I talked to him on the phone, he explained it all to me. And what it is just to, you know, I was going out back and looking at those engines I've got out there, my parts engines, and they came out of trucks. And this was a stationary engine. Well, that's not necessarily the difference. The difference is those engines are older, and they had a different system. These engines, 63 forward, had PCV valves. So now the way the old ones worked was it vented through these hoses and went into the manifold. And there was I'll show you in the manual, little hose coming from each side. And I have 4 of these that came from those truck engines back there. So prior to 63, that's how they worked. They went into the manifold, little hose coming from each side. Yeah, I got 4 of these. So it all went into the manifold here. And that's how it worked. So the way this system works, you know, my valve covers that came off of this engine, they were sealed. They had no opening for a breather cap. Okay, well, just except for one, and it was tight. It had a nice tight seal on it, but that was just so you could put oil in it. All 16 quarts, by the way. So, Marty explained it all that after 63, well, they worked different. They worked like this one is supposed to work. It's got the PCV valves inside. This is part of the system. This is where it gets its air. And that's how it vents. Instead of coming out the valve covers here with no PCV valve, it has a PC valve inside. And I've learned that, and I'm going to order some new ones, and we're going to run it the way it's supposed to run, the way it originally ran, and I think everything's going to be good. Because when I pulled these PCV valves out the other night, it wouldn't run. It just quit. And I go, we got to go the other way. That's not right. So, yeah, I'm going to get a new filter for this, and I'm going to replace all the PCV valves, and And we're going to go on from there. But right now, let's get on with the mission. Let's go ahead and see if this thing will fire up. Well, fellers, so glad you were able to stop by and visit here a while in the old Rat Rod workshop. Yeah, glad you guys came by. I sat down here a little while ago and went to do an outro for this video. And I was talking about all the things that had gone wrong around here. You know, about 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, things just swarmed, man. I mean, they swarmed around here. Fish pond, you know, if you saw that other video, fish pond pump broke down, the welder broke, and the hoopy broke, and this thing wasn't running right, and my phone broke, and I said, you know, I'm just kind of waiting for the other shoe to fall. And well, I guess it fell because I went in to edit this video. It's 11 o'clock, a little after 11. So I'd probably kick that video out about 2 o'clock in the morning. But I went in to edit the video and it wasn't there. It just didn't record. So I guess the other shoe is that I guess I'm going to need a camera. So I'm going to start over and I'm going to tell you that I had a couple things happen that just made my day, man. 2 things all in one day. My old brother Kerwood showed up, and I hadn't seen him in a long time. And man, it was good to see him. I missed him, you know. He's a good old boy. He's a good buddy, and I really missed him. He hadn't come around here for quite a while, and yeah, just stuff going on, you know. But it was so good to see him. We had a really good visit. But when he showed up, I happened to be on the phone, and with Jeff Bradshaw. Jeff called me, and man, it was good to hear from him. He's a good old boy. I just like that man. You know, he's just got a good core. You can just tell. He's a good guy. And he said, "You're like a best friend that I've never met." I said, "I feel exactly the same way, you know." And I hope to shake his hand one of these days. But he's home. He's not in the hospital. He's got a long road ahead of him. But he was ready to talk cars. You know, he was telling him about my little clutch issue before I figured that out, and hey, let's should do this, and he was thinking about it, you know, and he kind of got talking too fast. He said, I got to slow down on my talking because he's got a punctured lung and he couldn't catch his breath, you know, but man, it was good to hear from Jeff. He sent me a picture of the car crash. They pulled him out of it. I won't share that with you. If he wants anybody to see it, he can show it, but I said, when I saw that picture, I wrote him back. I said, well, I guess the good Lord ain't done with you, man. So that just made my day, hearing from old Jeff, and I know you guys are going to be thrilled that because you've been asking about him, you know, and if I had any update, and I didn't have anything until he called me, and then he answered my emails, and which I didn't expect him to, but I said, you don't have to answer. I just want you to know I'm still thinking about you. So it's been kind of like a country song, playing a country song backwards around here, you know. I got my hoopy back, got my welder back, got my fish pond pump back, got my V12 back. Shut up. Got Kerwood back. So got my ex-wife. No, I ain't waiting need to go there. I really want her back. Okay, I got some stuff going on. I got another project coming in here that it's not mine, it's my neighbor's, but I got to help them out, and they made it right. And anyway, so you don't see what goes on around here. The camera's not on all the time. I spend 20 hours a week just trying to make it look like somebody lives here, you know, trying to make it look like it's not abandoned. Mowing and weed spraying and weed eating and all that, but I think that's about it. That's all I wanted to say. It's probably enough, ain't it? I need to just shut up and get out of here and go get working on the video. But I really am glad when you guys drop in and see me. Means a lot, yeah. I really like having you here. And if you got nothing else to do, maybe go ahead and smash that subscribe button. And until next time, I appreciate you. I really do.